I'm Kerrie Penny, and you're listening to Secret Heart Broadcasting. Have you ever met someone and known right away that they just have this light in your life and you want to know them better? Because I think that's how I feel about you, Denix. Denix Almendares is a new friend to me and a bright light and just such a positive woman. And we met under unusual circumstances. You had just basically finally come to Canada, and I met you and was so curious. You and your daughter Mia and your husband were at my house, and you were saying you were going to love winter. I just loved everything about you. But I was in this place in my life where I couldn't really have, like, it was like I didn't have the bandwidth to have a new friend because my mom was in hospice and finishing the end of her life. And that was it was a really intense month for me when we met. And I had been pulling away from most of my friends who I'd known for a long time. And when I mentioned this to you, you had all this bandwidth to just be with grief and ask me about my mom. And, you know, I hadn't known you. You even went to see my mom with me in hospice. Yeah. And people I had known a long time, that just was impossible for them. So you came into my life at this really wonderful time with this enormously beautiful, generous heart. And I'm just wondering why, you know, that was like magic for me. I'm meeting this positive woman who was able to hold my grief. How are you able to do that? And wow.
You know, just thinking about that, and sort of tried making, I kind of want to cry right now.
Me too. Me too. It was a very emotional time.
It was very emotional. And I don't know, when I met you for the first time, I just saw this bright light on you. You know, like I really felt like I connect with you. And as you say, I just came to Canada, so I didn't have many friends myself either. So it was just beautiful for me to connect with someone. And then knowing about your mom and, you know, what you were going through at that time, just feel, I understand, totally understand it, because as you know, also my mom passed away and also my dad. And I don't know, I just felt like I needed to be there for you, and I did that, I guess. And I'm also glad because I got to meet your mom.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, when we went to the hospice and you were telling her stories, holding her hands, and I just felt lucky to see that to see how close you were to her and how important she was to you, and see the love with each other. So I just feel good about that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you for saying yes to being on the podcast, because, you know, we've had in the like relatively short time we've known each other, we've had some pretty deep conversations, and I'm just so glad you said yes.
Yeah, you know, I think it's because you are that kind of person that you can connect and talk about deep stuff without feeling ashamed of it, or, you know, feel free to express yourself in ways that you normally will do with other people, just because I don't know, sometimes you don't feel that freedom to be yourself. And when you find that person, it's just beautiful to just go out and be loud about it.
Yeah. Well, it's so wonderful to be seen and see and be seen.
Yes, exactly.
So when I asked you to be on the podcast, you right away said yes, which I appreciate. And then you wrote this kind of wonderful letter outlining a bit of your life, some things I knew about and some things I didn't. And I think what I'd like to do is maybe start, you know, right back at the beginning, where you were born and what your early life was like, because, it's a story, Denix.
It is a story. I think it's a beautiful and also, how can I say, difficult story, but it's the story of my life, and that's why I am who I am, you know, because of that. And, well, to tell you, I was born in San Pedro Sula, that's in Honduras. I was there until I was 34. Oh my God, I forgot my age. Before I came to Canada.
Is it a big town?
It is a big city. It's like the biggest city in the country. We had the capital of the country as well, Tegucigalpa, but San Pedro Sula is more like the industrial city. You know, like lots of jobs. So most of people come to the city from the country. And it's a beautiful big city, also can be pretty dangerous. I was actually raised in a town very close to the airport, which is on the other side of the cities. And I was there until I was 16, until my mom passed away. which now I believe it was a bless for me to move out of that town because it wasn't a good town or a safe place for me. So now I can see it that way. And at that time, I didn't because obviously I was going through losing my mom and trying to understand how life works, and that was
and all
very
you know
difficult.
You just know what you know at the time, like where you
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like this is what I know.
Exactly. And I used to cry when when I would think about my childhood because it was very difficult. But now I'm just maybe grateful for it because it made me who I am. And I guess I'm gonna cry again.
Okay, well, this will be great because we have two emotional souls in the studio talking about like basically love, right?
Yeah.
Now, were you the only girl in your family?
Yes, I am the youngest of three, and two brothers and I.
Now, and 16 is like so young to lose your mom. My friend Marilyn has a similar story because you're just on the edge of becoming a woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And also, because my mom was sick most of her life, she raised me in a way that she needed me. And so she made me need her more than you normally would as a kid to need you, just because I feel like she created dependence so I could always be with her because she needed me the most. And I didn't see it then either, but I know now that the way she raised me was because she needed me with her. And because of that, I felt like she didn't prepare me for the world. Like I was this very innocent, kind of ignorant child. And then when she passed away so young, I was like, like I didn't even know what to do. Like I was so unaware of how everything works just because the way I was raised.
So you said you were kind of raised in a rough part of town.
I was.
And so young, 16 when your mom died. How did you know to make these like decisions?
I had no choice actually. At that time, I used to live with my mom, my grandmother, and my two brothers, and they were older than me, 5 and 6 years older than me, and my older brother was like, "Well, I don't think we can continue to raise you," or, like pretty much they say you need to find your own. And
wow, so it's time to go.
yeah, exactly.
Yikes.
So I did. And as I said, it was very difficult at the beginning. I really struggled in so many ways, but it's hard to remember, but I'm really grateful for it. And since then, until my dad passed away, I also took care of my dad.
And the relationship with you and your dad wasn't the same as you and your mom, because your dad, as I found out, your dad, like my dad, was an alcoholic.
He was.
Yeah, so that's a trick. I mean, that is tricky when your father figure.
It was tricky, and as I say, I wasn't living with him when my mom passed away, but then after she passed away, I had to come and live with him, and I did for 7 months, and then I'm like, I need to get out. Like I couldn't stay there because again, it was another no safe place for me. Like I just needed to get out, and so I did, and yeah, I went to school by 9. I work.
Your resiliency is astonishing, right? I mean, I think we all like to think we're resilient, but here you are, you're a teenager, maybe 17 at this point.
Probably 17, yes.
Yeah, and so deciding, all right, I need to go to school.
Yeah.
But in order to go to school, I need to get a job to go to school.
Yeah.
And I'm in this alone.
I was. And as I mentioned in my letter that I sent to you, I believe that it's just the beginning of something else, something new, a new chapter, because I felt like when my dad passed away, even though
it's complicated.
I felt like I was living for the first time, like I could just think about me. I could use my paycheck for myself instead of, pay for his medicine, whatever he needed at that time. So it really felt good. Like I felt like, wow, I can do more. I can live. It was something very, sort of special in the sense because I was so sad because my dad was everything I had after my mom. And then losing him and then be alone again. I was alone before, but, in the sense that there is no parents or people that you can go to. And then at the same time, knowing that I can do more, that I can actually enjoy life. You know, it was that kind of
like an ending and a beginning
yes,
at the same
yeah,
time.
you know, like a kind of weird time in your life where things are good but also bad, but they're good, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
No,
properly
I
explain
think
it.
I think you did properly explain it. So where did you live then? Did you move into, like, you said a couple times you didn't feel safe. Were you in a safer place now?
Yes, I was in my own apartment, so I rented an apartment, and actually I had to share bathroom with another girl. She also had her own apartment, but we had to share the bathroom. So it was actually very nice. She was maybe another one of those angels that I was telling you about, because we have such a great connection and we took care of each other and we were there for each other. So it was a nice environment for me to know that there was good people around me.
We talked about angels before we started recording this interview, but I had said, "Oh, Denix, when I met you, you were like an angel for me," and then you were like, "Oh, I've had all these angels in my life," and I love that we hold the same belief.
Yeah, you know, absolutely, because you know there is these people that come to your life and they contribute in one way or another, and I feel so blessed that I had encountered so many great people through my life, you know, and I'm always grateful. You know, I look at the sky and say, "Oh, thank you," because I couldn't do it alone, and all these people can help.
Yeah, it's true though. We do rely on the kindness of
We
strangers.
do, we do.
Yeah.
It's amazing how we do.
So you were living with your roommate, Angel, or not roommate, your friend who you lived with, and then at that time you were going to school and working.
Yes, the whole time, time. I have been working since I'm 16. Never stopped.
Wow.
Well, actually stopped like 9 months when I came to
Yes.
Canada. But yeah, I have been working my
But
whole
you were
time.
looking for a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I have been working my whole life, and then after my dad passed away, I found this really good job that I was there for probably 8 years, and so that was like a very good paid job with great opportunities to help me to continue to go to school, give me trips and stuff that I wouldn't be able to afford by myself. So yeah, it was a totally blessing.
What were you studying in school?
Well, I changed so many times. I started with doing a business degree, and then I changed it to become a lawyer, and then I decided to be an accountant.
And then in the meantime, now Spanish is your first language, right?
It is, yes.
But I think you speak 3 languages at least, right?
You know, I used to speak a little bit of French because I also got a job at the French school, so I learned some. I don't think I do well as I used to now because I don't really use it. And I do English all the time. And
Okay, so you were working in accounting then. That's kind of the language of numbers is where you settled.
yeah, I think that's since 2016 I moved to numbers. I was usually working like human resources or office manager, that kind of roles. And then when in my job before I came to Canada, I met the CPA from Chicago who also became an angel of my life, and she invited me to work with her, and that's why I changed careers to accounting. And she used to tell me that I'm that kind of person that I'll learn whatever people need from me. And she said in a good way, not just because the counting number, just because she thought that I was trying to learn something to help other people, which I think I do.
Certainly you bring more than numbers to my life. Yeah.
Thank you.
Why was she an angel in your life?
Oh, well, she took me under her wing in a very nice way. Not only because job, we became very close. Because she will live in Chicago and I was on the island. And she will come, I don't know, every 3 or 4 months, depends on the company. And every time she come, we spend 24 hours together, like really 24/7 together. At that time, Darwin was in Canada, so, I get to just be focused in my work and my friendship with her. And we share so many great moments, like we had such a meaningful conversations, and she told me about her life, which also, helped me to understand that every person had their own struggles, and it's so nice to know that you can talk to people and they can listen to you and you can be a little bit of help, even just to cry on you, and we have a really great connection. We will do everything together. I remember we work from 7 to 7 and then we go home and just stay up until 2, 3 in the morning, like just talking and talking and talking. And she was always, making sure I was okay. Because when I was at that job, I decided to move back to the city. I was living on the island at that time, and I decided to move back to the city because I wanted to finish school. And even though she was my boss, she worried more about my own, health, like my own peace, than my actual job. So she wouldn't really care about my job much as she cared about me, you know? Like, she really took care of me in a deep way, you know? Like, she's always calling me to make sure I was fine. Like, if I have enough time to do my school, if I have enough time to share with Mia, you know, like, she focused about those things more than my job. And she said, oh, you can do your job tomorrow. You know, like, I want you to be well.
Oh, okay.
And I was the same with her. Like, I was always making sure she also was the same.
You mentioned Mia in there, and Mia is your daughter, who's in grade 7 now.
Yes.
Yeah, and so when I first met Mia, like she
was so little.
She was so little. Yeah, she was starting school.
Yeah. She was 7.
Yeah.
And now she's 12.
When did you have Mia in the middle of all this?
Oh. Okay. So, you know, as I say, since I'm 16, I'm working, doing my thing. And then at 25, maybe earlier than that, I met her father. And now I see that I was looking for a companion. You know, I was alone for so many years. And then he came and we became friends. And then we decided to be more than friends. And I think that's why things didn't work out, because we were very good friends, but we weren't good husband and wife, which, again, I'm grateful because it gave me Mia, and, you know, that's the best thing I ever had in my life, and I will ever change her. And so I had this short marriage, like 3 years maybe, and I get out of it without any pain, you know, without any sadness. Like, I was just fine, and we were fine, actually. We both were like, yeah, maybe let's just be friends. Like, I didn't have any issues with it. It was just very clean and, you know, smooth. Like, I didn't even feel that I had to transition from being married to single. You know, just things didn't work out.
That is so unusual. And I know for, you know, when I've had breakups, they've been, you know, I'm emotionally involved. I have a hard time letting go. I mean, now in hindsight, I can see all that, but they can be really painful moments. And there's a real gift in being able to, you know, to just realize the truth of the relationship.
Yeah, and, you know, I think it's because also at that time I had been going through for so many, you know, things in my life. And so I was, like, very in control of my own, you know, like, I was like, I don't think this is working, and I think you should leave. Like, you know, I didn't have to be like, oh, maybe we should, you know, like, I wasn't ashamed or afraid to say what I really
So you knew.
wanted to. I knew. So, and I even remember, I told him, don't even try to beg me or anything, because it's not about that. It's not what I want. And so we were in a restaurant, actually, having a conversation. And now we are still friends. You know, he's the father of my daughter, and yeah, it was good. It was a really good thing.
I mean, I love that, because, as you said, you'd been on your own for so long. You knew what you wanted. When were you able to kind of start tuning into that and saying?
I think maybe it was after I had Mia, for sure. I mean, I haven't done it for so long, but not really knowing that, you know, I can do this. But maybe when you have a kid, somehow they give you, you know, strength, and you want to do better because you're a kid, right? So I guess I had that mindset. And I'm like, I will do what I want, and I'm not going to please anybody. I'm just going to do what's good for me and what's good for my daughter.
And trust that you know what's good for you.
Yes, that too. And so I guess then was when I really feel like I knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Was pointing you in the direction you wanted to go.
Yes. Okay,
so again, you were a single mom, raising this beautiful daughter, working. That's like a lot for, you know, I mean, I know a lot of single moms, and that's a lot. And yet there's just this sense of joy.
Well, you know, just think of her, made me smile, because she's my precious gift. I guess when you become a mom, everything changed for you, right? Like, you see the world in a different way. You expect different things. You want different things. Mm-hmm. And it's all focused around them.
So did you always know that you wanted to leave Honduras?
No, not really. I did know that I wanted to improve my life, you know, to have a better future for my daughter. I did not expect to leave the country in that sense, but I'm just glad that everything that happened led me here.
Well, and that's how I know you, through your husband, Darwin.
Yes.
And I would hear stories about you, because he would spend, you know, great quantities of the year overseas. He was a sailor.
Yes.
And I remember him, you know, he's kind of like, you know, I met this girl. I met this girl.
Yeah, sometimes we joke about that because, he always talk about his girlfriend, right? But I was always in Honduras and say, are you sure your girlfriend's not a gout? Because we never seen your girlfriend.
Yeah, is she real?
Is she real?
So here you are, a woman who knows her own mind by this point, raising her daughter, loving this life you've built with you and your daughter, and you meet this person who, how did you know? And honestly, how did you even take a chance?
It came really soon because I had like 8 months separate from my first husband when I met Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, he was also one of those people that you can just talk and talk and talk without stop,
Mm-hmm.
It was just so easy to talk to him. And so we started dating.
And that was that was major long distance.
Yeah, we did long distance for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when, Darwin told me that you were coming to Canada, right? And it took a while. It didn't just happen like that.
No,
I mean, it was...
No, it took like 2 years
Yes.
to get here after we got married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we dated for 3 before that.
At that time, Mia was wee. Did you have to worry about... And you can just tell me these are questions you don't want to ask, but you were basically pulling up. Like, what a brave move. Fearless, right? Your extended family at this point. Your daughter probably had school. You had your work. You were thinking about coming, giving it all up and moving, having a brand new adventure. How did you learn to trust that that was okay?
It was funny because I didn't really think of me during that time. I was, I guess, just totally trusting Darwin, because I was coming to his country, to meet his family, his culture. And I was just excited to be here. And I knew that it would be better place for my daughter to grow in, So I was just really excited about that.
It's cold in Canada.
I know. It's really cold. I'm used to it. And I always tell that every time snow, like, oh, it's so magical. I love the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, really? Yeah.
Well, I love that you love you're like, I love winter. I love the fashion of winter.
Exactly. I can wear boots, jackets. I love that.
Mm-hmm. What did you tell me about coming to Canada?
Well, I was putting it in her head, right? Because we didn't know when that was going to happen because we were waiting for papers. So I will always tell her, we might have to move. You're going to make new friends. You're going to see the snow. Like I was trying to put ideas in her head that she will get excited to come and see, because I knew it was going to be very hard to be away from her friends, her dad, her, grandparents, and everything she knew. But she was, maybe because I was always very excited, she was also excited. Like she was like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like she was just very happy to come. And I think the thing that she was excited the most was being on a plane. Because she had been in a plane, but just small planes. She didn't travel from the mainland to the island, but she was never in a big plane. So she's like so excited to be on a plane, which was good for me because we're going to be on a plane, we're going to be on a plane. And she really amazed me when we came here because she was so outgoing, so happy to be here. Like when we came here at the airport, there were like 20 people, family of Darwin, and Mia was like, are you my new aunt? Are you my cousin? Like, she was just, and talking in English too, like, and she would never speak English back at home, but she just came here and like, just coming out of her mouth, like so easy, like she was so comfortable and so happy. And I remember when we came to our condo, she put a sign in her room, do not disturb, and closed her door. And I was talking to my friend from Chicago. I said, the first thing she did, she put a sign in her room, and she said, it's because she feels safe. That's what it is, She know people will respect her boundaries, her limits.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always very happy for that because she knew Darwin was a good man to be around Mia. And I love that. I always think of that when she told me. It's because she know her boundaries, her limits are going to be respect. And I love that. I always think of that.
What's the name of the woman in Chicago?
Shelley.
It sounds like Shelley Shelley's a good angel.
She's a wonderful woman.
Mm-hmm.
She really is.
And she had eyes on Darwin, so she knew that Darwin is... I think that's it. Like, your real friends won't let you make a bad decision, or if you're making that decision, they're going to tell you it's not right.
Yeah.
And I think people said, oh, that Darwin's all right.
And that's the thing, because Darwin is such a likable person. Like, he's a very, tender soul. Like, you can see through Darwin, and every person that will meet Darwin always say, oh, he's such a nice person, he's such a nice guy. Like he always came that way to people,
Mm-hmm.
which he's that way. So I'm so happy for
He's
that.
probably going to hate that we're talking about him on this
Yeah,
podcast. Your ears
maybe.
are burning, Darwin. But he also has this radiance, right? You seem to
He
attract
does.
people in your life with this radiance.
That's absolutely true. You attract what you give, and with Darwin, I think he's such a, beautiful soul. Like, yeah, I'm just so happy and grateful for him.
And Mia has this fearlessness that I see in her mom.
She totally is. She really is so amazing. That kid, like, she's so brave. She's strong. She's um, resilient. I I don't even know what words I could put to her because she just did beautiful force.
Yeah, well, maybe that's inherited.
Oh, thank you. Hope so.
Do you have kind of a parenting style for her, or things you want to make sure she learns, or how are you parenting her? And I also have an only daughter, so
but sometimes it's hard because I try to be her friends, but at the same time, I know her friend in the sense that I want her to respect me, to follow the rules, and so sometimes I have to be a bit strict with her, and sometimes maybe I go too far, but then Darwin comes along and he balances it. So I feel like Darwin is such a great help because if I was by myself, maybe I wouldn't really know how to do that, where you had to be caring, but you also had to be, strict to them. Like, as a mother, that we feel guilty about almost everything. Whatever we do, did I did it right? Did I, was it, like all these questions that we do to ourselves because we had this mom guilt all the time for whatever reason. And so to having Darwin, it really helped me to calm because sometimes like, am I good mother to her? I'm doing enough? And he said, she's fine. She's a happy kid. You're doing great. Like he helped to comfort my soul when I get worried about her. And also Mia is just very sweet girl, like I don't really need to worry about her that much. And I think whatever she's going to meet, she already is, And through her young life, I would just tell her just to be grateful, to be humble, to listen to people, to be obedient, to be respectful. Like I'm always trying to be mindful of other people's feelings. Like I put these ideas in her head and I hope that she can see it through my own actions too, because sometimes, we say things but we act differently. So I hope that my actions are louder than my words.
Yeah, I think kids do keep you accountable, don't they?
Yeah.
Especially, yeah. And as you're speaking, I'm also remembering, so we both have only daughters, and we both married men who are not our daughter's biological fathers, and we both made pretty good choices there.
I think we did.
Yeah, that's another thing we have in common.
I know, so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with Mia's grandparents back home and her biological dad? And
that's a beautiful relationship she had with them. Her dad called her every day. She talked to him every day, or when she answered the phone, and she talked to her grandparents maybe once a week, and they are just very happy, that she's fine, that she's good. So I don't have any issues with it. They just happy that she's doing so well. And I keep them, very close. Like I send videos, photos. All that, whatever she's doing, I've sent it to them. So, they always seeing what she's doing. And yeah, I had zero issues. They are wonderful in that sense. And her dad, especially, for allow her to come here. Because that was something that I told Darwin, I will never come to Canada without my daughter. Like, if she can come, I won't go because I can't. And luckily, everything went so good. Like, I didn't have any issues with it.
Do you think you choose to be positive? I mean, I experience you as relentlessly positive and kind and an angel. Is that something you're choosing?
I think I do. I like to, wherever I go, I try to be positive. I'm always smiling. and because I know what is to struggle, and I always think about, you don't know what these people's going through when you're talking to a person. So I was trying to be kind in that sense, because sometimes, even if you don't know what's your issue, if you're kind to other person, they're just grateful for that. Like you don't really have to know their stories, but if you are nice to them, kind to them, and that's what I want in return for myself too. I want people to be kind and nice to me, and for the most part, I have been so lucky in that sense.
The idea of kindness, so kindness is a superpower. I used to think I was strange when in my younger years, early in my career, when it seemed to be, okay, this strength was being not vulnerable and was being almost non-emotional. And, kindness wasn't really part of that. As a matter of fact, kindness could almost be seen as weakness.
Yeah.
And it never fit for me. And it's only in getting older that either I'm attracting more kindness or practicing more kindness.
Maybe that's what it is. And again, becoming a mother also, help with that, because you want the world to be kind to your daughter. So I guess you try to attract that too.
Yeah, I think that's the way we, sometimes the big problems, I don't think an individual can solve easily, but in your life you can solve small problems by being kind or compassionate or listening. Or
And something that I remember from my mom too, that she was also very kind. She was always very nice to people. When she passed away, a lot of people miss her because she was this nice person all the time, always also very smiling. Despite her struggle, she was very conscious of helping other people. And I remember once I was eating an orange, and I have 2 pieces of the orange, and a neighbor came to me and asked me for half of my orange. And I gave this person the orange already bite. And my mom saw that, and she called me inside the house. And she's like, what did you do? If you're going to be nice, if you're going to be kind, you need to give the other half. You had to give the best of you, not the worst of you. And that other half was the worst of you. I'm like, and she sent me outside to give my good half of my orange to these kids, to this neighbor. And I always remember that because, sometimes even when we think that we're being nice, we are not as nice as we think we are. We have to be conscious of that. So I always had that, memory in my head when things go a little weird. I think of that and you have to be best. You have to do better.
Well, that's great, because I was about to ask you what kind of things you learned from your mom, but that is a powerful lesson.
Yeah, she was always very kind, so I think she didn't even have to say it. I could just see it. She was that kind of person. Mm-hmm. She was also very strong, very resilient. Like, wow, my poor mother, she had so many struggles, and she just managed to go through that and be who she was, which was a nice person. She was a very nice person.
And modeled that for you.
Yes.
I feel the same with my mom. Like, she had a hard life, but was a kind person. And as a result, I'm a kind person. Although, I wasn't always. I used to, like I said, I used to see kindness as being like, oh, that's weak. And I don't ever want that to happen to me where I'm a kind person. And now I'm a kind person.
Yeah, you absolutely are.
Well, yeah, and we just, we attracted each other out of all the people in the world.
I know.
Yeah, we run into each other.
I always say that I'm very selective with friends because for me it's important that I can get something from you. And when I say that, I mean I need to feel inspired by you. I need to admire you. I need to, look after you. Like, I need to feel like there's something beautiful in you for me to be close to you. Because when I met a person that is empty or have nothing to offer, I just don't want to be friends with them. I'm like, I don't want to, waste my time with this person. Like, obviously I don't say it to the person, but I just immediately put, a wall on like a limit or something like that. I don't try to carry that friendship because I'm very selective in that sense. Because again, I like to be surrounded with, good people, good life, beautiful hearts. That's important.
Yeah, and I think you got that at a really early age. Like,
yes,
because of these things you walked through, you just really learned to love you, I think, right? Isn't that what we're talking about, is making good decisions for ourselves because we love each other, or love ourselves.
Yes.
We talked about what you were hoping to, or did we say what you're hoping to teach Mia? And we did. You talked about that really nicely.
Yeah. I just want her to think of me as a good mother. I try to give her the best I can, that she's absolutely everything to me, and that she can see that even with all my struggles, I'm still a strong woman, that I can be resilient, that I try to be the better version of myself, and I just want her to know that.
That's what I want for my daughter too. One question I wanted to ask you is about books you're reading or books you wanted to recommend, and I know.
Oh, yeah. Well, my favorite book, and I read this book in 2 languages, in Spanish and English. This is by Paulo Coelho. It's The Alchemist, And I think it's a beautiful book, because it's a story about a person that's trying to find something away from his land, only to realize that it was within himself. So I think that's my favorite book because of that. Because sometimes we look for things that are just within ourselves, but it's hard to find them. As human, we struggle with so many emotions and feelings, and sometimes we feel like we are looking for something that must be somewhere there, but then you kind of find it and realize it's just within you, and I guess that's an absolutely power to know that whatever you want to be, whatever you want to do, is just within you. Your force, your strengths, your desires, it's just all within you. And I think that's why I love that book, because I sort of feel connected, because through my life, going along through so many different stages of my life, and figuring out that it was only me who will change my life. So that's why I love that book.
I love this conversation.
Thank
you. Thank you for coming down today.
No, thank you, Kerrie. I'm just so grateful you are my friend.
Yeah.
You are a beautiful, beautiful soul.
Back at you, Denix.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Secret Heart Broadcasting. And I wonder what your secret heart's telling you.